My fiancé canceling my wedding was a gift. The text message that destroyed my life came at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, exactly 72 hours before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. Asterisk Sarah, I can't do this. The wedding is off. I'm sorry, asterisk. I stared at my phone screen in the dim light of my bedroom, certain I was misreading the words. Mark was supposed to be at his bachelor party in Atlantic City. This had to be some kind of joke, maybe one of his groomsmen being an idiot with his phone. I called him immediately. It went straight to voicemail. Mark, what the hell is this text? Call me back. Now. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a call. Sarah. His voice sounded hollow, distant. Not like the man who proposed to me on the beach in Santorini 8 months ago. What do you mean the wedding is off? I was whispering, though I don't know why. Maybe because saying it too loud would make it real. I can't marry you. I'm not ready for this. 4. Commitment. The word hung in the air like a slap. Commitment. After 3 years together. After the $45,000 we'd already spent on this wedding. After 150 people had already booked flights and hotels. Are you having a panic attack? Is this cold feet? Because we can talk through. No, Sarah. It's not cold feet. He paused, and I could hear voices in the background. Female voices. I've been thinking about this for months. I should have said something sooner. Months? My voice cracked. You've been planning to abandon me at the altar for months? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Mark? Explain to me what it's like to find out your fiancé is a coward via text message 3 days before your wedding. Another pause. Longer this time. When he spoke again, his voice was barely audible. There's someone else. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually doubled over, gasping for air. 3 years. 3 goddamn years of my life. Who? I managed to choke out. Silence. Who, Mark? Jessica. Jessica. My maid of honor. My college roommate. My best friend for 7 years. The woman who'd helped me pick out my dress, who'd thrown my bridal shower, who'd listened to me gush about Mark for hours on end. I hung up and ran to the bathroom, barely making it to the toilet before I threw up everything I'd eaten that day. When there was nothing left in my stomach, I sat on the cold tile floor and stared at my wedding dress hanging on the back of the door. The ivory silk seemed to mock me in the moonlight streaming through the window. My phone buzzed with another text. This time it was from my wedding planner, Diane. Asterisk hi Sarah. Just confirming final headcount is 147 guests. Vendor payments all cleared. Going to be a beautiful day. Can't wait to see you become Mrs. Patterson. Sparkles asterisk. Mrs. Patterson. I was supposed to become Mrs. Patterson in 71 hours and 53 minutes. Instead, I was sitting on my bathroom floor, officially single, with a $45,000 party that no longer had a groom. That's when the idea hit me. The idea was insane. Absolutely, completely insane. Which is probably why it felt so perfect. I was going to have the wedding anyway. Not the ceremony, obviously, hard to have a wedding without a groom, even one as pathetic as Mark. But the reception? The party I'd spent 8 months planning down to the last detail? The celebration that was supposed to mark the beginning of my happily ever after? That was happening. I spent the rest of the night making lists. At 3:17 a.m., I was sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop, 3 empty coffee cups, and a legal pad covered in frantic scribbles. The Riverside Manor was paid for. The band, Final Notice, Mark's favorite, was booked and paid. The flowers, the food, the open bar, even the ridiculous ice sculpture Mark had insisted on, a swan, because he thought it was classy, were all locked in. The only thing missing was a reason to celebrate. Well, I'd found one. At 6:30 a.m., I called my sister Emma in Portland. She answered on the first ring, which meant she was already up with the baby. Sarah? What's wrong? Did something happen with the final preparations? Mark called off the wedding. Silence. Then, I'm going to kill him. I'm literally going to drive across the country and murder him with my bare hands. Get in line, I said. But first, I need you to help me with something. I explained my plan. Emma was quiet for a long moment. You want to throw yourself a divorce party before you were even married? I want to throw myself a freedom party. There's a difference. Sarah, are you sure about this? I mean, emotionally sure? Because this could either be the most empowering thing you've ever done, or it could be a complete disaster that follows you for the rest of your life. She wasn't wrong. The plan was risky. If it backfired, I'd be the woman who threw herself a pity party with 147 guests. But if I pulled it off... Emma, do you know how much money I've already spent on this wedding? 45,000, you've mentioned it roughly 100 times. 47,000, actually. I forgot about the upgraded linens Mark wanted. $47,000 for one day. Our entire down payment for a house, gone. And for what? So Mark could decide 3 days beforehand that he's not ready for commitment while he's screwing my best friend? My voice was getting louder, angrier. Good. I was going to need that anger. I'm not letting him take this from me too, Em. I'm not letting him turn the worst day of my life into his escape plan. He wants out? Fine. But he doesn't get to disappear quietly while I'm left explaining to 147 people why there's no wedding. What are you going to tell them? That was the million-dollar question. I couldn't exactly send out a mass text saying wedding's off, come anyway for the drama. But I also couldn't lie and pretend everything was fine. I'm going to tell them the truth, I said finally. That sometimes the best things in life come disguised as the worst. And sometimes you have to celebrate your own damn self because no one else is going to do it for you. Emma was quiet again. When she spoke, I could hear the smile in her voice. You know what? I'm proud of you. This is either going to be legendary or catastrophic. Why can't it be both? At 8:15 a.m., I started making calls. The first call was to my mom, and it went about as well as expected. He what? Mom's voice could have shattered glass. That little weasel. I never liked his weak handshake. And those beady eyes. I told your father there was something shifty about those eyes. Mom, I need you to listen. I'm calling your Aunt Martha right now. She knows people. We'll make sure Mark Patterson never works in this city again. What kind of business does he think he can run with a reputation like this? MOM. I had to shout to get her attention. I'm having the party anyway. Silence. Then, what party, honey? The reception. Tomorrow night. Everything's paid for, everyone's already here. I'm turning it into a celebration. A celebration of what, exactly? I took a deep breath. Of me figuring out I was about to marry the wrong person before it was too late. Another pause. You know what, Sarah Elizabeth? That's the smartest thing you've said in 3 years. The second call was to my dad, who just sighed heavily and asked if I needed him to have a conversation with Mark. The third was to my college friend Rachel, who screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. By 10 a.m., I had called 15 people. By noon, I had called 43. Each conversation followed roughly the same pattern: shock, outrage, concern for my mental health, then grudging admiration for my plan. But it was the call at 2:17 p.m. that changed everything. Sarah? It was my wedding planner, Diane, and she sounded frazzled. I just got a very strange call from Mark's mother. She said something about the wedding being postponed? But that can't be right, because I just confirmed the cake delivery for tomorrow morning. My stomach dropped. I had been so focused on calling my people that I'd forgotten about Mark's side of the guest list. His parents, his college buddies, his coworkers, his extended family who'd flown in from Michigan. Diane, I need to tell you something. I explained the situation. Diane was quiet for a long moment. So let me understand this correctly. The groom has canceled, but you want to proceed with the reception anyway? Yes. And you want to tell the remaining guests that this is now what did you call it? Freedom party? That's right. Sarah, in 15 years of wedding planning, I have never encountered this situation. I'm not even sure it's legal to use a wedding venue for a non-wedding event without proper notice. My heart sank. Are you saying I can't do it? I'm saying. She paused, and I could hear papers rustling. I'm saying it's highly irregular. But technically, you paid for the venue, the catering, and all associated services. The contract is in your name as well as Mark's. And frankly, after what that man has put you through, I think you deserve to have your party. I could have cried with relief. However, Diane continued, we need to address the guest list situation immediately. Mark's family is going to start calling people on their side. This could get very messy very quickly. She was right. I had maybe 6 hours before Mark's mother started her own phone tree, spreading God knows what version of events to his half of the guest list. Some of those people barely knew me. They might show up just for the drama, or worse, they might show up to defend Mark. What do you suggest? I asked. Damage control. We need to get ahead of this story before Mark's people spin it their way. And Sarah? Yeah? We need to talk about Jessica. My blood ran cold. In all my planning and calling and list making, I had somehow managed to avoid thinking about the fact that my maid of honor, my former best friend, was supposed to be standing next to me tomorrow night. Is she still planning to come? I asked quietly. I don't know. But we need to find out. I hung up with Diane and immediately called Jessica. My hands were shaking as I dialed her number, the same number I'd called thousands of times over 7 years of friendship. The number I'd called when I got the promotion at work, when my dad had his heart attack, when I needed someone to talk me through dyeing my hair blonde, a decision Jessica had wisely talked me out of. It rang 4 times before she answered. Sarah. Her voice was barely a whisper. So it's true. I wasn't asking a question. Yes. I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way. Which way did you mean for it to happen, Jess? Were you planning to tell me on my wedding day? Or maybe during the honeymoon? It just happened, Sarah. We didn't plan it. How long? The question came out sharp, angry. Silence. How long? 2 months. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no forgiveness, nothing but cold rage. 2 months. So when you helped me with my final dress fitting, you were already sleeping with my fiancé. When you threw my bridal shower and gave that beautiful speech about finding your soulmate, you were already screwing mine. Sarah, please. Are you coming tomorrow? What? To the wedding. Are you coming? There's no wedding, Sarah. Mark told you. There's a party. I'm having the reception anyway. 147 people are expecting to celebrate something tomorrow night, and I'm going to give them something to celebrate. The question is, are you brave enough to show your face? Another long silence. When Jessica spoke again, her voice was steadier, and I heard something in it that made my stomach turn. Defiance. You can't be serious about this party thing. Sarah, people will think you've lost your mind. Maybe I have. Maybe losing your mind is exactly what you should do when your fiancé and best friend betray you 72 hours before your wedding. This is crazy. You need to cancel everything and take some time to. To what? To quietly disappear while you and Mark ride off into the sunset? To let everyone think I was the problem? My voice was getting louder. I don't think so, Jessica. You want Mark? You can have him. But you don't get to have him in my dignity. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. It means you should wear something nice tomorrow. Because everyone's going to be looking at you. I hung up before she could respond. At 4:47 p.m., my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Sarah? This is Carol Patterson, Mark's mother. Perfect. I'd been wondering when this call would come. Hello, Carol. Honey, I just spoke with Mark, and I'm so confused. He says the wedding is canceled, but then I heard from your mother that you're having some sort of party anyway? At the same venue? With the same guests? I could hear the forced sweetness in her voice, the kind of tone people use when they think you might be having a breakdown. That's right. I decided not to let $47,000 go to waste. But Sarah, dear, don't you think this might be, well, a little embarrassing? For everyone involved? Maybe it would be better to just quietly cancel everything, Anne. And what, Carol? Pretend your son didn't cheat on me with my maid of honor? Pretend he didn't wait until 3 days before our wedding to grow a conscience? Sharp intake of breath. Mark told me it was just cold feet. Of course he did. Ask him about Jessica, Carol. Ask him how long he's been having second thoughts. The line went quiet. When Carol spoke again, her voice had lost all its artificial warmth. Well, I suppose we'll see you tomorrow then. I suppose you will. By 6 p.m., my phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Word was spreading faster than I'd anticipated, and not all of it was the version I wanted out there. My cousin Riley texted, ** Mom says Mark's telling people you had a breakdown and are forcing everyone to come to a fake wedding? WTF is happening? **. Then my coworker Michelle, ** just heard from Brad, Mark's college friend, that you're throwing some kind of spite party tomorrow? Girl, call me, **. And the worst one, from my neighbor Janet, ** honey, Mark stopped by around 4. Said he's worried about your mental state and asked if I'd check on you. He seemed genuinely concerned. Are you sure about whatever you're planning? **. Mark had made a house call to my neighbor. The manipulative bastard was already working on damage control, positioning himself as a concerned ex-fiancé worried about his unstable former bride. I was furious, but I was also impressed. It was actually a smart move. Get to the neighbors, plant seeds of doubt about my sanity, make sure there were witnesses to his concern for my well-being. Classic Mark, always thinking 3 steps ahead when it came to protecting his reputation. 2 could play that game. I called my hairdresser, Monica, who'd been scheduled to come to my house at 7 a.m. tomorrow for the bridal party hair appointments. Sarah. I was just about to call you. I heard the strangest rumor. Monica, change of plans. I still need you tomorrow, but it's just for me now. And I want to do something completely different with my hair. Different how? I looked at myself in the hallway mirror. My honey blonde hair fell in soft waves to my shoulders, exactly the way Mark liked it. He'd actually asked me not to cut it shorter last year because he preferred long hair on women. How do you feel about a bob? Something sharp. Edgy. Sarah, are you sure? Your hair is so beautiful long, and with your face shape. Monica, my wedding is off. My fiancé has been cheating on me with my maid of honor. Tomorrow night, I'm throwing a party to celebrate dodging the biggest bullet of my life, and I want to look like someone who could stop traffic. Pause. Honey, you should have led with that. I'll bring my best scissors. At 7:23 p.m., Diane called back with an update that made my blood run cold. Sarah, we have a problem. I just heard from the Riverside Matters event coordinator. Mark called them directly this afternoon. What did he want? He tried to cancel the entire event. Told them there was a family emergency and that the reception needed to be called off immediately. My heart stopped. Can he do that? Legally, no. The contract is in both your names, which means either party can authorize changes, but the venue requires written consent from both parties for a complete cancellation within 72 hours of the event. So we're safe? For now. But Sarah, he's not giving up. The coordinator said Mark got very agitated when they explained the policy. He demanded to speak to the manager and made some concerning comments. What kind of comments? He suggested that you might be having a mental health crisis. That forcing people to attend a fake wedding reception could be seen as a cry for help. There it was. Mark's strategy was becoming clear. He couldn't stop the party legally, so he was going to try to stop it socially by painting me as unstable. Diane, I need you to do something for me. Name it. Call the venue back. Tell them that Sarah Chen, that's me, is confirming that the event is proceeding as planned tomorrow night. Get it in writing. And tell them that if Mark Patterson contacts them again, they should refer him to my lawyer. Do you have a lawyer? I will by tomorrow morning. After I hung up with Diane, I sat in my kitchen staring at my wedding invitation on the refrigerator. Sarah Chen and Mark Patterson request the honor of your presence as we begin our journey together. Journey together. What a joke. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. ** Sarah, this is David, Mark's brother. Can we talk? I think there's been a misunderstanding about tomorrow. ** I almost laughed. The Patterson family was mobilizing. Carol had clearly enlisted reinforcements. I texted back, ** no misunderstanding. See you tomorrow night. Should be quite a show. ** His response came immediately, ** Mark's really worried about you. This party thing isn't healthy. Maybe we could grab coffee and talk through some alternatives. ** Alternatives. Like quietly disappearing and letting Mark's narrative win. ** Tell Mark if he's so worried about me, he should have thought about that before he decided to blow up our relationship 72 hours before our wedding. And David? Bring a date to the party. The salmon is supposed to be incredible. * 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response came. At 9:15 p.m., my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Emma standing on my porch with 2 large suitcases and a determined expression. You flew here from Portland? I asked as I opened the door. I drove. 18 hours straight with a 6-month-old baby. Trevor's with the grandparents, and I'm here to make sure you don't face this alone. She dropped her bags and pulled me into a fierce hug. Also, I brought reinforcements. What kind of reinforcements? Emma grinned. The kind that's going to make sure tomorrow night is absolutely unforgettable. Emma pulled a bottle of wine from one of her suitcases and set it on my kitchen counter like she was preparing for war. Okay, before we get into the reinforcements situation, I need to know exactly what kind of chaos we're walking into tomorrow. Because I've been getting texts for the last 6 hours, and apparently half the internet thinks you've lost your mind. Half the internet? Mark posted something on Facebook around 3 o'clock. Real subtle stuff about difficult times and supporting someone you care about through a mental health crisis. He's got 43 comments of people offering to pray for your well-being. My jaw dropped. He posted about our breakup on social media? Oh, it gets worse. Emma pulled out her phone and started scrolling. Jessica shared it with a long comment about being there for friends who are struggling and how sometimes love means making hard choices. She's positioning herself as your concerned best friend who's worried about your breakdown. The wine glass I'd been holding slipped from my hand and shattered on the kitchen floor. Emma immediately knelt to help me clean it up. Those manipulative bastards, I whispered, staring at the broken glass. They're making me the villain in my own story. Not if I have anything to say about it. Emma's voice was steel. Which brings me to the reinforcements. I called Rachel, Melissa, and Kate on the drive here. They're all flying in tonight. Rachel, Melissa, and Kate, my college crew. The girls who'd helped me survive organic chemistry, talked me through my first heartbreak, and celebrated every milestone with me for the past 10 years. Emma, they can't just drop everything and fly across the country because Rachel got the last flight out of Denver. Lands at 11:47 p.m. Melissa's driving down from Boston, should be here by midnight. Kate was already planning to fly in tomorrow morning anyway, but she moved her flight up. She lands at 6:15 a.m. I felt tears prick my eyes. You guys are insane. We're loyal. There's a difference. Emma stood up and dumped the glass shards in the trash. And we're not letting Mark and Jessica control the narrative about who you are. At 10:23 p.m., my phone rang. The caller ID made my stomach lurch. Mark. Emma looked at me questioningly. I put the phone on speaker. Sarah, we need to talk. His voice sounded strained, desperate. I think you said everything you needed to say on Tuesday night. This party thing has gotten out of hand. People are talking, making assumptions. My boss called me today asking if everything was okay because someone told him you were having some kind of breakdown. Funny, I heard you were the one telling people I was having a breakdown. Silence. Then, I never said that. I'm worried about you, that's all. This isn't like you, Sarah. The Sarah I know wouldn't put herself through public humiliation just to make a point. The Sarah you knew also wouldn't have found out her fiancé was cheating via text message 3 days before their wedding. People change, Mark. Turns out I had to. Look, I know I handled this badly. The timing was terrible, and I should have been honest with you sooner. But this party, it's not going to make you feel better. It's just going to make everything worse. Emma was making frantic hand gestures, pointing at her phone. She typed out a message, he's recording this call. My blood went cold. Of course he was. More evidence for his Sarah's having a breakdown narrative. You're right, Mark, I said, suddenly calm. This party probably won't make me feel better. But you know what definitely won't make me feel better? Letting you disappear quietly while I explain to 147 people why there's no wedding. At least this way, everyone gets dinner and dancing. Sarah. Oh, and Mark? Next time you want to stage an intervention about my mental health, maybe don't do it 45 minutes after posting cryptic Facebook updates about my crisis. Just a thought. I hung up before he could respond. Emma was staring at me with something that looked like pride. Holy shit, you're really doing this. Yeah, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. I really am. At 11:52 p.m., Rachel burst through my front door like a hurricane, still wearing her flight attendant uniform and dragging a carry-on behind her. Where is he? She announced. Where's the cheating bastard? I've got 12 hours of layover rage and nowhere to put it. I started crying then, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. These women had dropped everything to be here for me. Tomorrow, Emma told Rachel, is going to be legendary. At 12:34 a.m., Melissa arrived with a trunk full of what she called emergency supplies, 3 bottles of champagne, a professional makeup kit she'd borrowed from her sister who worked in theater, and a garment bag containing what she dramatically announced was the perfect revenge dress. I stopped at Nordstrom on the way down from Boston, she explained, unzipping the bag to reveal a stunning off-the-shoulder black cocktail dress. Size 6, just like you wore to Kate's wedding. If you're going to burn everything down tomorrow night, you're going to look incredible doing it. I held up the dress, feeling the expensive fabric between my fingers. It was nothing like the soft pink bridesmaid dress I'd planned to change into after the ceremony. This was bold, sophisticated, powerful. Melissa, this must have cost. Don't even think about it. Consider it a divorce gift, except you get to skip the messy marriage part. At 2:17 a.m., we were all sitting on my living room floor surrounded by wedding planning binders, laptops, and empty Chinese takeout containers, strategizing like we were planning a military operation. Okay, Rachel said, consulting her color-coded timeline. Guest arrival is at 6 p.m. Cocktail hour until 7, then dinner, then dancing until midnight. We need to figure out exactly when and how you're going to address the Mark situation. I keep thinking I should say something during the toasts, I said. That's when everyone expects speeches anyway. Emma shook her head. Too predictable. Mark and Jessica will be expecting that. They'll probably leave before dinner even starts. Good point. What if they don't show up at all? Oh, they'll show up, Melissa said with confidence. Mark's too much of a control freak to stay away. He needs to be there to manage his image, make sure people see him as the concerned ex-fiancé and not the cheating asshole. My phone buzzed with another Facebook notification. Against my better judgment, I checked it. Mark had posted again, this time a photo of us from last Christmas with a caption, asterisk sometimes the people we love most need us to make difficult decisions for their own well-being. Asking for prayers and positive thoughts during this challenging time. Hashtag mental health awareness, hashtag love is patient asterisk. He hashtagged our breakup, I said, showing the others. He actually hashtagged it with mental health awareness. The comments were already pouring in. His college buddy Brad, asterisk stay strong, man. You're doing the right thing, asterisk his coworker Janet, asterisk such a hard situation. You're a good person for putting her needs first, asterisk. Rachel grabbed my phone and started typing furiously. What are you doing? Correcting the record. She held up the phone so we could see her comment, asterisk interesting perspective, Mark. I'm sure Sarah's guests tomorrow night will be fascinated to hear your thoughts on mental health and difficult decisions. See you at 6 p.m. 2 hearts asterisk. Rachel, no, but she'd already hit post. Too late. And look, your cousin Riley just liked it. So did your work friend Michelle? The truth has allies, Sarah. At 3:45 a.m., my doorbell rang again. Through the peephole, I saw a figure I didn't recognize, a tall woman with short dark hair wearing jeans and a leather jacket. Are you expecting someone? Emma asked. I opened the door cautiously. Can I help you? Sarah Chan? I'm Detective Maria Santos, Portland PD. I'm Rachel's girlfriend. She smiled and extended her hand. I took some vacation days. Rachel appeared behind me and launched herself into the woman's arms. You made it. Sarah, Maria's not just here for moral support. Tell her what you do. Maria grinned. I specialize in cybercrime and social media investigations. Rachel filled me in on your situation during our layover. That Facebook post your ex made? The one where he's documenting your alleged mental health crisis? She pulled out her phone. I took some screenshots. Timestamps, comment threads, the works. Why would we need that? Insurance, Maria said simply. If Mark tries to escalate this, maybe claims you're harassing him or his family, you'll want evidence that he was the one who made this public first. Trust me, I've seen situations like this get ugly fast. At 4:22 a.m., my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but something made me answer it. Sarah? This is Jennifer Walsh from Channel 7 News. I'm sorry to call so late, but we received a tip about an unusual story happening tomorrow, something about a bride throwing her own wedding reception after her fiancé called things off. We'd love to discuss featuring this as a human interest piece. My blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? A source reached out to us with your contact information. They seemed to think this would make an inspiring story about resilience and self-empowerment. A source. Someone had called the media. But who would? Can you tell me who contacted you? I asked. I'm sorry, I can't reveal my sources. But would you be available for a brief interview tomorrow evening? We could film some of the event, talk about your decision to celebrate anyway. Really focus on the positive angle, turning heartbreak into empowerment. I looked at my friends, who were all staring at me with wide eyes. I'll have to call you back, I managed, then hung up. The fucking media knows, I whispered. Who the hell called the news? Rachel demanded, pacing across my living room like a caged animal. Emma was already pulling up Channel 7's website on her laptop. Look at this, they've got a breaking news banner. Local woman transforms wedding disaster into empowerment celebration. This story is already out there. My phone buzzed with 3 more calls in rapid succession, all from numbers I didn't recognize. I let them go to voicemail, but the notifications kept coming. Text messages from acquaintances I hadn't spoken to in months, all asking variations of "Is it true about your wedding?" This is getting out of control, I said, my voice shaky. I wanted to take back my narrative, not become a goddamn news story. Maria was studying her phone with the focused intensity of someone used to tracking digital footprints. Sarah, I need you to think carefully. Who else knew about your plan to have the party? Besides your immediate family and close friends? I mentally ran through my phone calls from yesterday. My wedding planner, Diane. The venue coordinator. Mark's family. My stomach dropped. Oh God. Mark's mother, Carol. What about her? She called yesterday asking about the party. She kept saying how embarrassing it would be, how I should just quietly cancel everything. What if she's the one who called the media to make you look unstable? Melissa finished. Holy shit, that's actually brilliant. Evil, but brilliant. Emma looked up from her laptop, her face pale. There's more. The story's already being picked up by other outlets. Bride's revenge party goes viral before it even happens. Someone shared it on Twitter and it's getting thousands of retweets. I felt like I was going to throw up. This was supposed to be about reclaiming my dignity, not becoming a viral spectacle for strangers to gawk at. We need to call this off, I whispered. Cancel everything. This has gotten too big, too public. I can't. Absolutely not. Rachel's voice cut through my panic like a blade. Sarah, don't you see what's happening? They're trying to overwhelm you, make you back down. First Mark paints you as unstable on Facebook, then mysteriously the media gets involved right when you're most likely to panic and cancel. This is psychological warfare. But what if people only show up to watch me fall apart? What if this whole thing becomes a circus? Maria held up her phone. I just checked the news station's tip line system. I still have contacts there from a case I worked last year. The call came in at 11:43 p.m. yesterday. Want to guess what time Mark called you? 10:23, I said automatically. Exactly. 20 minutes after you refused to back down, someone contacted the media. That's not a coincidence. My phone rang again. This time it was Diane, my wedding planner, calling at 4:47 a.m. Sarah, I am so sorry to wake you, but I just got a call from the Riverside Matters general manager. Apparently, they're fielding calls from news outlets asking about filming permits for tomorrow night. Can they do that? Film inside the venue? Not without your consent, and I already told them absolutely not. But Sarah, there's something else. The manager said Mark showed up at the venue tonight around midnight. He was with a woman, blonde, late 20s. They were asking questions about access points, service entrances, that sort of thing. He was there with Jessica, I said, the pieces clicking into place. They were scouting the venue. It gets worse. The night security guard said they sat in the parking lot for almost an hour, just watching. Like they were planning something. Emma grabbed the phone from me. Diane, this is Sarah's sister. What kind of security does the venue have for tomorrow night? Standard event security, 2 guards, plus the coordinators will be monitoring access. Why? Because I think we need to upgrade that, Emma said grimly. Can you arrange for additional security? People who can handle media and potentially disruptive guests? Yes, I can make some calls. But this is highly unusual. In 15 years of wedding planning, I've never dealt with anything like this. After Diane hung up, we sat in stunned silence for a moment. The reality of what tomorrow might bring was starting to sink in. So let me get this straight, Melissa said finally. Mark called off the wedding, tried to cancel the venue, started a social media campaign about your mental health, and now he's physically surveilling the location. Plus someone, probably his mother, called the media to turn this into a public spectacle. That about covers it, I said weakly. Rachel stood up, her expression fierce. Good. Let him come. At 5:12 a.m., Kate burst through my door like she'd been shot out of a cannon, her red hair wild from the overnight flight and her eyes blazing with righteous fury. I just saw the news story, she announced, dropping her bags with a dramatic thud. Channel 7, Channel 12, and some blogger called Wedding Disasters Weekly have all picked this up. Sarah, you're trending on Twitter. I'm what? Maria held up her phone, showing me a Twitter thread with my name and hashtag wedding revenge hashtag. 14,000 tweets in the last 2 hours. Most of them are supportive, actually. Listen to this one, this woman is my hero. Turn that pain into a party, queen. Another one says, Mark Patterson sounds like a walking red flag. Dodged a bullet. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Strangers were debating my life at 5 in the morning. There's more, Kate said, settling onto my couch like she was delivering war intelligence. I was on the plane with Mark's cousin Trevor, you know, the one who went to law school. He was on his phone the entire flight, texting frantically. I may have accidentally overheard some very interesting things. Such as the fact that Mark's been planning this exit for weeks. Trevor kept typing things like stick to the timeline and make sure she looks unstable. Sarah, they've been orchestrating this whole thing. Emma's laptop chimed with another news alert. Oh, this is rich. Groom's family concerns about bride's mental state prompt wedding cancellation. They're actually quoting anonymous sources now. My phone buzzed with a text from my boss, Patricia, Sarah, just saw something online about your wedding situation. Take Monday off if you need to. Also, HR wants to discuss the social media attention this might bring to the company. Call me, asterisk. Now it's affecting my job, I said, feeling the walls closing in. This is exactly what they wanted. Complete social destruction. Rachel was pacing again, but this time she looked energized rather than angry. You know what? Fine. They want to play this game? Let's play. But we're going to play to win. What do you mean? I mean we stop being reactive and start being strategic. They're counting on you to crumble under pressure, cancel everything, and slink away quietly while they control the narrative. But what if we don't give them that satisfaction? Kate pulled out her phone. I might have an idea. My sister works in PR, the kind of PR that handles celebrity scandals and corporate disasters. She specializes in narrative flips. It's 5:30 in the morning on the West Coast, I protested. Trust me, Amanda's always awake. She runs on coffee and chaos. Kate was already dialing. Amanda? It's Kate. I need a favor. Big one. No, bigger than that. While Kate talked to her sister, my doorbell rang again. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery truck. Flowers, the driver announced when I opened the door. For Sarah Chen. The arrangement was massive, 24 white roses with a card that read, asterisk thinking of you during this difficult time. We're praying for your healing. The Patterson family asterisk. They sent you sympathy flowers, Emma said incredulously. For your own wedding day. It's psychological warfare, Maria observed, examining the card. Public display of concern, positioning themselves as a caring family worried about the unstable ex-bride. Very calculated. Kate hung up with her sister, grinning wickedly. Amanda's driving down from San Francisco. Should be here by noon. She says this is exactly the kind of narrative flip that built her career. Apparently, scorned bride turns wedding disaster into empowerment celebration is catnip for positive media coverage. But what about all the negative stuff that's already out there? That's where it gets interesting. Amanda says the fact that they went nuclear so fast, the social media posts, the media tips, the public concern trolling, actually works in your favor. It makes them look manipulative and you look like the victim who's choosing strength over self-pity. My phone rang. Unknown number again, but this time I answered. Sarah, this is Marcus Webb from the Portland Tribune. I understand you're throwing what some people are calling a revenge wedding tonight. I'd love to get your side of the story, especially given some of the concerning reports about your emotional state. Before I could respond, Rachel grabbed the phone. This is Sarah's representative. All media inquiries need to go through proper channels. We'll be issuing a statement later today. She hung up and looked at me seriously. Sarah, I think it's time to stop playing defense. At 6:47 a.m., Amanda arrived looking like she'd stepped out of a boardroom despite driving through the night. Kate's sister was all sharp angles and focused energy, the kind of woman who probably negotiated million-dollar deals before breakfast. Sarah, she said, extending a firm handshake, I've been following your situation since Kate called. First rule of crisis management, never let your opponents control the timeline. Right now, they think they have you cornered, which means they're going to get sloppy. She spread her laptop and phone across my kitchen table like she was setting up a command center. I've been monitoring the social media chatter for the past 2 hours. The tide is already starting to turn. Want to know why? Please tell me something good is happening. Mark overplayed his hand. That Facebook post about mental health awareness? It's backfiring spectacularly. People are calling him out for weaponizing mental health terminology to justify cheating. And that anonymous tip to the news stations? Someone screenshot the timeline and posted it on Reddit. Thousands of people are connecting the dots. Amanda pulled up her phone and showed me a Reddit thread titled Cheating Groom Tries to Destroy Ex-Fiancé's Reputation After SHE Decides to Party Anyway. It had 847 comments and climbing. Look at this comment with 2,300 upvotes. Imagine being so threatened by your ex having a party that you call the news to try to make her look crazy. Mark Patterson is the walking definition of manipulative trash. I felt a flicker of something I hadn't experienced in days, hope. But here's the thing, Amanda continued, we can't just rely on organic social media support. We need to get ahead of this professionally. I've already drafted a press statement that reframes the entire narrative. She handed me a printed document. Read this and tell me if it captures your voice. Asterisk after discovering my fiancé's infidelity just days before our wedding, I faced a choice, disappear quietly while others controlled my story, or celebrate the strength it took to recognize I deserved better. Tonight's event isn't about revenge, it's about resilience, community, and the power of choosing joy even in difficult circumstances. I'm grateful to everyone who's supporting me in transforming what could have been the worst day of my life into a celebration of authentic self-worth. Asterisk. It's perfect, I whispered. When do we release it? Strategic timing is everything. We wait until this afternoon, right when the venue preparations are visible and people are getting ready. Maximum impact, minimum time for them to respond. My phone buzzed with another unknown number. This time I let Amanda answer. Sarah Chen's representative. No, Ms. Chen won't be doing any interviews this morning. Actually, we'll be holding a brief press conference at 4 p.m. Location will be provided to credentialed media only. She hung up and grinned at me. That was Channel 12. They're practically salivating for an exclusive. By this afternoon, we'll have them competing for your story instead of you scrambling to defend yourself. Emma looked worried. What about Mark? He's not going to just sit back while Sarah takes control of the narrative. Oh, I'm counting on Mark making his next move, Amanda said. Manipulators like him can't handle losing control. He'll do something desperate, probably sometime this afternoon when he realizes the story is slipping away from him. And when he does, we'll be ready to capture it. At 8:23 a.m., my doorbell rang again. This time it was my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, holding a covered dish and looking concerned. Mija, I saw the news trucks driving by this morning. Are you okay? Should I call someone? News trucks. They were already staking out my neighborhood. I'm fine, Mrs. Rodriguez. Just dealing with some unexpected publicity. She handed me the dish, homemade tamales, still warm. Whatever's happening, you remember that you're a good girl. Don't let anyone tell you different. After she left, I peeked through my blinds and saw 2 vans with satellite dishes parked across the street. This is really happening, I murmured. Rachel appeared beside me at the window. Yes, it is. And in exactly 9 hours and 37 minutes, you're going to walk into that venue looking like a goddamn queen and show everyone, including yourself, exactly what you're made of. At 11:15 a.m., I was sitting in Monica's salon chair watching my honey blonde waves fall to the floor in soft piles when my phone exploded with notifications. Honey, you need to see this, Monica said, pausing with her scissors mid-cut to show me her phone. Someone had posted a video on TikTok. The caption read, Mark Patterson explaining to the bartender at Flanagan why his wedding got called off. This man is unhinged. The video was shaky, clearly filmed secretly from across the bar, but Mark's voice was unmistakable. He was gesturing wildly with a beer bottle, his usually perfect hair disheveled. She's completely lost it, he was saying to the bartender, who looked deeply uncomfortable. Forcing people to come to a fake wedding because she can't handle reality. I'm genuinely worried she might hurt herself when this whole charade falls apart tonight. The bartender murmured something I couldn't hear. No, you don't understand, Mark continued, his voice getting louder. Sarah's always been unstable. Emotional. I probably should have seen the signs earlier, but I kept thinking I could help her. That's why I had to call things off, for her own good. My hands were shaking as I held the phone. The video had 47,000 views in 2 hours. That manipulative piece of shit, Monica breathed. He's at a bar at 11 in the morning trash-talking you to strangers. My phone rang immediately. Amanda. Sarah, please tell me you've seen the TikTok. Unfortunately, yes. This is the best thing that could have happened to us. I could hear the excitement in her voice. He just destroyed his own credibility. Day drinking while calling his ex-fiancé unstable? The optics are catastrophic. She was right. The comments on the video were brutal. Nothing says concerned ex like getting wasted and talking shit to random bartenders. Asterisk, this man is really trying to convince us he's the stable one? Sir, asterisk. Sarah Chan, if you're reading this, you dodged a nuclear missile. At 12:47 p.m., Kate burst into the salon with coffee and a grim expression. We have a Jessica situation, she announced. She just posted on Instagram. The post was a carefully staged photo of Jessica in what looked like a therapist's office, all soft lighting and motivational posters. The caption was long and theatrical. Asterisk, sometimes being a true friend means making impossible choices. When someone you love is struggling with their mental health, you have to put their well-being above everything else, even if it means they'll hate you for it. I'm heartbroken about how things unfolded, but I couldn't watch Sarah self-destruct without trying to help. Tonight's event isn't healing, it's a cry for help that I pray someone will answer before it's too late. Hashtag mental health matters, hashtag true friendship, hashtag difficult choices, asterisk. She's positioning herself as your concerned best friend who heroically sacrificed your friendship to save you, Kate said, disgust dripping from her voice. Monica had stopped cutting my hair entirely, staring at the phone in outrage. The audacity of this woman. She's sleeping with your fiancé and calling it mental health intervention? But something about Jessica's post felt different from Mark's clumsy attempts at damage control. It was more sophisticated, more calculated. This wasn't spontaneous, I realized. Look at the photo quality, the professional lighting. She planned this post. Amanda called again, her voice sharp with urgency. Sarah, we need to move up our timeline. Jessica's post is gaining serious traction, it's being shared in mental health awareness groups, and some people are buying into her narrative. We need to get your statement out now, before this snowballs. How long until you can get to the salon? I asked. 20 minutes. We're holding that press conference in your hairdresser's parking lot if we have to. Monica grinned at me in the mirror, her scissors poised above my half-finished bob. Honey, we're about to make you look so good that Jessica's going to regret every life choice that led her to this moment. At 2:15 p.m., with my new razor-sharp bob framing my face like armor, I walked out of Monica's salon to find absolute chaos in the parking lot. 3 news vans, a crowd of about 20 people holding phones, and Amanda standing in the middle of it all like she was conducting a symphony. There she is, someone shouted, and suddenly cameras were flashing and microphones were thrust in my direction. Sarah, how do you respond to claims that tonight's event is a mental health crisis? Are you concerned about your fiancé's well-being after his public statements? Is it true you're forcing guests to attend against their will? Amanda appeared at my elbow, guiding me toward a makeshift podium she'd somehow materialized. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Chen will make a brief statement, then we'll take 3 questions. I looked out at the crowd, reporters, neighbors, random people who'd probably just come to gawk, and felt something shift inside me. These people wanted a show? Fine. I'd give them one. 3 days ago, I discovered that my fiancé had been having an affair with my maid of honor. I began, my voice steady and clear. He called off our wedding via text message 72 hours before the ceremony, leaving me with a $47,000 reception and 147 guests who'd already traveled here to celebrate with us. The crowd was dead silent, phones recording every word. I had a choice. I could hide in my house, ashamed and defeated, while others controlled the story of my life. Or I could take that money, that venue, that celebration I'd planned for months, and use it to honor something actually worth celebrating, the strength it takes to walk away from someone who doesn't deserve you. A reporter raised her hand. But what about concerns regarding your emotional state? I smiled, and I could feel how sharp it looked. My emotional state is fantastic. I'm angry, absolutely. But I'm also grateful. Grateful that Mark showed me who he really was before I legally bound myself to him. Grateful that I have friends who flew across the country to stand with me. And grateful that I live in a world where a woman can throw herself a party without needing anyone's permission. What do you say to Jessica Martinez's claims that she was trying to help you? I'd say that Jessica has a very creative definition of help. Most therapists don't recommend sleeping with their patients' fiancés, but maybe that's a new treatment approach I'm not familiar with. A few people in the crowd actually laughed. I was hitting my stride now. One more question, Amanda announced. Are you worried this will damage your reputation professionally? I thought about Patricia's text, about HR wanting to discuss the social media attention. Then I thought about Mrs. Rodriguez's tamales and the Reddit comments supporting me and the TikTok of Mark drunk at 11 a.m. calling me unstable. I'm 28 years old. I just discovered that the man I plan to marry is a coward and a liar who tried to destroy my reputation rather than take responsibility for his own choices. If standing up for myself damages my reputation, then maybe I need a better reputation. The crowd erupted. People were cheering, clapping, taking pictures. Amanda leaned over and whispered, "That's going to be a meme by 5 o'clock. As we walked toward the car, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk, you have no idea what you've just started. See you tonight. M asterisk. I showed the text to Amanda, who photographed it immediately. Evidence, she said grimly. Something tells me Mark Patterson isn't done trying to control this narrative. At 4:47 p.m., I was in my bedroom putting on Melissa's revenge dress when Emma knocked on my door, her face pale. We have a problem. A big one. I turned from the mirror, black fabric swishing around my legs. What now? Mark's at the venue. Has been for the past hour. But he's not alone, he brought backup. My stomach dropped. What kind of backup? Diane just called. He showed up with 8 people, including his parents, his brother David, and what she described as official-looking men in suits. They're claiming there's a legal issue with the event proceeding. Legal issue? I was already reaching for my phone to call Amanda. It gets worse, Emma continued. They've got some kind of document. Diane couldn't see what it was, but they're demanding to speak with you before any guests arrive. Amanda answered on the first ring. Sarah, I know about the venue situation. I'm already in my car heading there. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, do not go there without me. What kind of document could they have? Could be anything. Restraining order claiming you're harassing him, court injunction about the venue contract, maybe even a psychiatric hold if they found a compliant doctor. The key is that none of it matters if we handle this correctly. My hands were shaking as I tried to zip up the dress. Can they actually stop the party? Not legally, no. But they can create enough chaos and confusion to effectively shut it down. Which is exactly what they're counting on. Rachel appeared in my doorway, her phone pressed to her ear. I just talked to my cousin who works security at the courthouse. No restraining orders were filed today under your name or Mark's. So whatever they're claiming, it's either bullshit or very recent. At 5:23 p.m., Amanda called back with an update that made my blood run cold. I'm at the venue now. Mark's hired a lawyer, some guy named Richards who specializes in emergency injunctions. They're claiming you're using marital assets to fund a malicious public harassment campaign. Marital assets? We're not even married. Apparently they're arguing that since you were engaged and had joint financial planning for the wedding, the money spent constitutes shared property that you're now using vindicatively. Emma sank onto my bed. Can they actually make that argument stick? Not in any reasonable courtroom, but they don't need it to stick. They just need it to create enough legal confusion that the venue decides it's not worth the risk. Through my bedroom window, I could see cars starting to arrive, my guests, dressed in their wedding attire, expecting a celebration. The first was my Aunt Martha, wearing the lavender dress she'd bought specifically for this occasion. People are already showing up, I told Amanda. Good. That works in our favor. The optics of Mark trying to shut down a party while guests are arriving in their formal wear. It makes him look vindictive and petty. Kate burst through my door holding her laptop. Emergency social media update. Someone's live streaming from the venue parking lot. Mark's lawyer is actually on camera right now explaining why tonight's event is legally problematic. She turned the screen toward me. I could see Mark standing behind a thin man in an expensive suit, both of them positioned deliberately in front of the venue's elegant entrance. The lawyer was speaking into a reporter's microphone. My client attempted to resolve this matter privately, but Ms. Chen has chosen to weaponize what should have been a personal disagreement. Using shared wedding funds to stage a public humiliation event crosses the line from heartbreak into harassment. The comments on the livestream were exploding. Most of them weren't buying it. Asterisk shared wedding funds? They're not married asterisk. This man really hired a lawyer to stop his ex from having a party. The audacity is astronomical. But some comments worried me. If there are legal issues, maybe she should just cancel, and asterisk, this is getting out of hand. Someone needs to be the adult here. Asterisk. My phone buzzed with a text from Diane. Asterisk security is asking guests to wait in their cars until this is resolved. Some people are leaving. We need you here now, asterisk. I have to go, I announced, grabbing my purse and heading for the door. Absolutely not, Rachel blocked my path. That's exactly what they want, you showing up emotional and reactive while they're positioned as the calm, legal, rational side. Amanda's voice came through the phone speaker. Rachel's right. Give me 15 more minutes to handle the lawyer situation. The last thing we need is video of you having a confrontation in the parking lot. But as I watched another car pull away from my window, guessed who decided this drama wasn't worth their Saturday night. I felt my carefully constructed confidence starting to crack. They're going to win, I whispered. They're actually going to destroy this. Emma grabbed my shoulders and turned me toward the mirror. Look at yourself, Sarah. Look at what you built today. You think Mark Patterson and some rent a lawyer are going to take this away from you? In the reflection, I saw someone I barely recognized. The sharp bob framed a face that looked fierce rather than broken. The black dress made me look powerful instead of victimized. For the first time in days, I looked like someone who could win. My phone rang. It was Amanda. Sarah, I need you to trust me and do exactly what I say. It's time to end this. I'm listening, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The lawyer's argument is falling apart. I just had a very enlightening conversation with Mr. Richards, and it turns out Mark's been less than honest about his legal position. But I need you to make an entrance that shows everyone, the media, the guests, Mark, and most importantly yourself, that you're not backing down. Through my window, I could see at least 30 cars still in the venue parking lot. People weren't leaving, they were waiting. What do you want me to do? I want you to walk into that venue like you own it. Because legally speaking, you do. The contract is in your name, the payments came from your account, and Mr. Richards just admitted they have no actual legal grounds to stop tonight's event. Emma was grinning now, holding up her phone. Sarah, you need to see this. Someone recorded Mark's lawyer talking to Amanda, and the audio is devastating. She played the recording, Amanda's voice, professional and cutting. Mr. Richards, can you show me the specific statute that prevents a woman from hosting a party with her own money at a venue she legally contracted? Followed by a long pause, then the lawyer's much quieter response. Well, we're exploring several legal theories. He's got nothing, Amanda continued over the phone. They were banking on intimidation and chaos, but the legal threat was always hollow. Mark's desperate, which means he's about to make an even bigger mistake. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Riley. Sarah, whatever you're planning to do it fast. Jessica just showed up at the venue with a film crew. She's giving interviews in the parking lot about intervention and tough love. Jessica's there? I felt rage surge through me, clean and focused. Kate was already pulling up Instagram. She's live streaming. Look at this caption. Sometimes love means showing up even when it's painful. Praying for healing tonight. She's got 847 people watching her perform concern in real time. On the screen, I could see Jessica standing near the venue entrance wearing a simple black dress that she'd probably chosen to look appropriately somber. She was speaking earnestly to someone holding a professional camera. She's trying to upstage you at your own event, Rachel observed. This is actually perfect. Perfect how? Because she just gave you the ultimate entrance opportunity. Amanda, are you still there? I'm here, Amanda's voice crackled through the speaker. And I just got some very interesting information from the venue security. Want to guess who paid for Jessica's film crew? My blood went cold. Mark's mother, specifically. Carol Patterson just wrote a check to something called Healing Light Media Productions. They specialize in mental health intervention documentation. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. This wasn't just about stopping my party, they were creating their own counter-narrative in real time. Jessica's concerned best friend performance, the professional cameras, the live stream of her intervention attempt. They're making a documentary, I breathed. About my breakdown. We're making a documentary, Amanda corrected. Past tense. Because I just informed Ms. Martinez and her camera crew that filming on private property without the event host's consent constitutes trespassing. Turns out they never got proper permits. Through my window, I watched a van with camera equipment pull away from the venue parking lot. Sarah, Emma said quietly, it's 5:47. Your party starts in 13 minutes. Your guests are waiting. What do you want to do? I looked at myself in the mirror one more time. The woman looking back at me had survived 3 days of psychological warfare, media scrutiny, and legal intimidation. She'd been betrayed by her fiancé and best friend, had her mental health weaponized against her, and watched strangers debate her life on social media. And she was still standing. I want to go to my party, I said, surprised by the strength in my own voice. Rachel hooped. Kate started gathering purses and phones. Emma called for our Uber. As we headed for the door, my phone rang one more time. Unknown number, but I answered anyway. Sarah, this is Detective Maria Santos. I wanted you to know, Mark Patterson was just arrested. Arrested? I nearly dropped the phone. For what? Public intoxication, disturbing the peace, and attempted breaking and entering. Maria's voice was crisp and professional. Apparently after his lawyer's strategy failed, he tried to force his way into the venue's service entrance. Security cameras caught everything. He's currently sobering up in a holding cell. Emma was staring at me with her mouth open. I put the phone on speaker. The breaking and entering charge probably won't stick, Maria continued, but the footage of him screaming at venue staff while clearly intoxicated is not great for his image. Especially after that TikTok from this morning. Rachel started laughing, not polite laughter, but deep, cathartic belly laughs that made her double over. He arrested himself, she gasped between giggles. The man literally arrested himself trying to stop your party. As our Uber pulled up to the Riverside Manor at exactly 6:15 p.m., I saw the most beautiful sight of my life. Cars filling the parking lot, people in elegant evening were walking toward the entrance, and absolutely no sign of Mark, Jessica, or their hired chaos. Amanda met us at the entrance, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. Sarah Chen, she announced dramatically, you are about to have the most legendary party in this venue's history. How many people showed up? I asked, smoothing my dress. 132. We lost a few to the drama, but we gained some unexpected guests. Your story went so viral that complete strangers have been calling the venue asking if they could buy tickets to support you. Diane appeared beside us, her usual wedding planner stress replaced with something that looked like pure excitement. Sarah, in 15 years of doing this, I have never seen anything like what's waiting for you in there. She led us through the entrance, and I stopped breathing. The reception hall was absolutely packed. Every table full, people standing around the edges, and an energy in the room that felt like electricity. But what made me tear up were the details. My college friends had recreated all the personal touches Mark had dismissed as too much, photos of me at every table, handwritten signs with inside jokes, and a playlist that was actually my favorite songs instead of his. Sarah. The entire room erupted as I entered. People were cheering, clapping, raising glasses. My elderly neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez was sitting at the same table as my boss Patricia, both of them beaming. My cousin Riley had somehow managed to get a dodged a bullet banner hung behind the head table. But the best part was seeing Jessica's empty chair at what used to be the bridal party table, now occupied by Maria, who raised her champagne glass in a mock toast. Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda announced, her PR training evident as her voice carried across the room without amplification. Please welcome the woman of the hour, Sarah Chin, celebrating the best decision she never knew she needed to make. The applause was thunderous. People were on their feet, phones out, recording what I realized was going to become the most viral party footage of the year. Rachel grabbed the microphone from the band setup. Before we eat this incredible dinner that Sarah planned and paid for herself, let's talk about what we're really celebrating tonight. We're celebrating a woman who turned the worst betrayal of her life into the best party any of us have ever attended. We're celebrating someone who refused to be a victim of other people's cowardice. And we're celebrating the fact that Mark Patterson is currently in jail while we're eating his salmon. The room exploded in laughter and cheers. Someone started chanting Sarah. Sarah, and soon the entire room had joined in. As I looked around at 132 people who had chosen to celebrate with me instead of judging me, I realized something profound. Mark's betrayal hadn't destroyed my life. It had revealed exactly how strong my life actually was. My phone buzzed with a notification. The livestream of tonight's party had 847,000 viewers and climbing. The gift had been delivered.